let's begin with the most important aspect, which is, who is God? Who is God? I've had debates. I'm part of several Google groups that debate topics with each other. And we have insiders and outsiders debating each other, even about who is God. And recently, in the last month, there's been a debate, is Allah the same God? Do Muslims worship the same God as the one we do? One time I had a woman leave a 4-week training here and went to Minnesota. And a few months later, she gave me a call. She said, I just came out of a class that taught the opposite of what you taught us, and now I'm confused. Help me. I said, what did he say? He said, as soon as I walked in the class, I saw on the blackboard, Allah equals Jehovah. It was written there. And so the teacher spent a whole hour talking about how Allah is the same as God. Now, how many of you have heard that argument? There are whole books written. What's his name, the guy? I always forget his name because I don't like him. From Yale. He wrote a book on God and talks about the Muslim God. What's his name? Yeah, Verslav. Yes. Baklava something, baklava. And he makes a very strong point that it's the same God. And so it's being debated, and we continue to debate it. And finally, I was able to penetrate that, and I silenced everybody. Now, don't see me as a prideful guy who silenced everybody. I'm just telling you the truth. I wrote something that silenced everybody. And what I wrote is, I said, it doesn't matter. And I quoted John chapter 8, which I spent a lot of time on the other day. When Jesus looked at the Pharisees, at the Jewish leaders who claimed to be children of Abraham, and he told them, no, you're not children of Abraham, although you are descendants of Abraham. Read it if you don't believe me again. This couple here weren't here when I said it, so read John 8 and you'll see that. He says, I know you're descendants of Abraham, but you're not children of Abraham. Oh, well, we're children of God. No, you're not children of God. Who is he talking to? To the Jews, the right religion. Without the Jews, you and I would not be here. Without the Old Testament, there is no New Testament. And yet he said, your father is the devil. I said, it's not about similarities, because my brother is similar to me. One day he was in a mall and people called him, George, George. And he looked back and says, I'm not George. Well, you look like him, but I'm not him. Are you sure? You look like him. Well, my name is Antoine. My name is not Joe. Oh, you're his brother. Yeah, I'm his brother. Well, you know, I can assure you 100% that my brother is not me and I'm not my brother. And even if we have twins, identical twins, they are two separate individuals. Let's not be fooled by the similarities. But what is the key? Jesus said it in John chapter 8. You don't know God. You have the right concepts, you know theology, but you don't know Him. Do you know why you don't know Him? Because you don't know me. You have rejected me. No one comes to the Father except through me. That is the issue. I don't care what you think. You can be a Baptist and have degrees in theology, which is the study of God, and know everything about God, and you don't know Jesus Christ personally as a Savior, and you'd be worse than the Muslim. So it's not about similarities. We need to know the similarities, we need to know the contrasts, but let's not be fooled by them. Are we in agreement? That's establishing the foundation of this talk. Now let's look at the similarities and differences. How is Allah similar to the God of the Bible? I'd like to call him the God of the Bible rather than God of Christianity, because Christians can be wrong in the way they think about God. The God of the Bible and the God of the Quran, they're similar in many ways. Allah created the heavens and the earth. He is everywhere. There's a little debate about that. Once I talked to an imam on an airplane. He's just happened to be victimized by sitting next to me. And I was saying, you know, God is everywhere. He said, no, God is not everywhere. I said, why did you say that? He says, if God was everywhere, then he'd be in the toilet. He can't be in the toilet. A lot of Muslims have said that to me, not just him. They have some kind of a obsession about toilets. You know, you go to the toilet with the left foot, not with the right foot. You put your left foot in, and God isn't there. Some woman told my wife once, she says, you know, I like to stay long in the toilet there because I can think without God looking at me. You can hide from God in the toilet. So now you have a technique. That's why we have long, big rooms here, toilets, so a lot of people can go. You know, we can have 20 people sit in the toilet there, near the toilet, not on the same toilet, but but anyway, but let's say most Muslims say he is everywhere, he's omnipotent, he's capable, Al-Qadir, Al-Qadir, Allahu Akbar, he's great. So there's a lot of similarities. But the differences are more acute and more significant than the similarities. So now let's have two levels. One level, there's a line here. I don't have a blackboard now to write. A level here and a level here. There's a line in between. On the top, we'll call him transcendent. God is transcendent. Muslims believe God is transcendent. What does transcendent mean? Transcend means to go above. Means he is far away. In fact, in their own teaching and writings, which I quote in a publication about God, which you could take from Kylie, he is aloof, far, unknowable, unapproachable. So when a Muslim prays, they're not approaching God. They're fulfilling a duty that God required them. Do you hear me? Write it down. A Muslim does not pray to approach God, but to fulfill a duty, a requirement by Him. And the requirement is to say certain words and have certain motions. Or you kneel, you get up and do things. Face Mecca, do very ritualistic, very controlled. Now, I'm not saying the human heart does not seek after God. There are many Muslims who are seeking after God, and they use prayer, but does not satisfy them. And many of them, in fact, one ISIS member who left ISIS and became a Christian, he told me that he was always afraid. He was frightened of God before he got into the prayer time, because now he is at a place of submission, total submission to God. Because the image of God being a dictator, aloof and far away, unapproachable, and you cannot even please Him, is there when He's in prayer. That image. And it amazes me that some contextualists, they say, let's retain that prayer format, which is theologically opposite to what prayer is in the Bible. You pray boldly, you enter into the throne, you come near to God because He's approachable. He is immanent, meaning He's down here with us. One amazing verse that has those two is Isaiah 57:15. Can somebody read it out loud to give me a break from talking while my sweet Mahdi brings me a glass of water?
Sure.
57:15.
For thus says the one who is high and lifted up, who inhabits eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high and holy place, and also with him who is contrite and lowly spirit.
You see the two lines, the line with the two? There's the above and the below. He says, I live in a high and holy, lofty place, and also with him who's contrite in heart. So our God is with us. Their God is far. How about Isaiah 40:11 and 12? Someone else with a loud voice. Who would like to do that? Isaiah 40:11 and 12.
He tends his flock like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs in his arms and carries them close to his heart. He gently leads them.
Who are young. Yeah, next verse.
He gently leads those who have young. Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, or with the breadth of his hand marked off the heavens? Who has held the dust of the earth in a basket, or weighed the mountains on the scales and the hills in a balance?
Is there a question mark at the end?
Yes.
It shouldn't be. It's more of a description. Who? He who does that. But anyway, even if it's a question mark, it talks in verse 12, Isaiah 40, about God measuring the waters with the palm of his hand. Is it waters or the mountains? He weighs the mountains with his hand, measures the waters. It shows his glory, his greatness. And Muslims agree with that. They believe in his greatness. But then verse 11 it says, he holds us like lambs to his heart. Our God is relational. Their God is aloof. Our God is close. Their God is far. He is transcendent. Our God is immanent, meaning he's here with us. He's both far and near. Far in the sense, not separated from us, far in the sense that he is greater than us. And he has qualities that we cannot, we may be photocopies of it, but we cannot be what he is. Are you everywhere? When you went out, were you also here? I missed you. Because you can only be in one place. But God can be here and there in China, on the moon, even in Neptune, and Venus, and galaxies that have not been named yet. He's everywhere. But he is also with me here. He's in my heart, he's in my mind, he's in this room. He is in the bathroom. You know what I told that Imam when he told me if he was everywhere he'd be in the toilet? I said, I'm so glad that my God goes with me to the toilet, because I can't live 1 second without him.
Amen.
So is this the same God? Is the God of the Quran the same as God of the Bible? In some ways he's the same, in more ways he's not. If I were, who is a father here? Anybody is a father? Elijah. I used to call you Jeremiah. Elijah. I've known Elijah 20 some years. Elijah, if your little boy is asked, is your daddy nice? He said, no, he beats me every day. He chokes me. He doesn't let me eat. Would that be an accurate expression of you? Well, ask your wife. If we have a wrong concept of our Father, that does not change who the Father is, but we just have a wrong concept of Him. Muslims don't have a different God, so to speak, because there's only one God. In 1 Corinthians chapter 8, Paul said, those who eat meat sacrificed to idols, he says there's only one God. The idols are nothing. But they think they are gods. So they have a wrong concept of the living God, but they don't have a connection with the living God. Therefore, they are pagans, idol worshippers. I don't care if they have similar ideas, they don't know God. That's the point. That's very important for us to figure out. The same thing about who Jesus is and salvation. A lot of contrast between Islam and Christianity, but in this short time I felt emphasizing on the contrast between the God of Islam and the God of the Bible is very important. Do you agree?